Well, it's been a hectic weekend, but you know what? We're going to go in, take some calls, talk to some of the fans, some of the listeners, and we have someone joining us right now. Hey, who's calling in right now?
Hey man, this is Shane. Just a regular Hearts fan here in Atlanta, and
Shane.
calling in to talk about all the fun of free agency.
Sweet. Guys, we got Shane back with us. Shane, me and you were about to come to blows talking about Horford last time. But no, man. What's going on? Let's go ahead and run through this free agency.
I mean, they screwed it up. There's no like sugarcoating it. There's no they are objectively worse than they were before, and not even with a great future in front of it. I mean, it's just they it's Dwight was you signed a 30 or 31-year-old center who peaked 5 years ago and gave him 70 million over 3 years, and then you lose Al over reportedly $6 million, and then at the same time you piss off your best player by putting him in trade talks, and on top of that, I like Bazemore. I'm a Bazemore fan, but 70 mil for a guy that's probably peaked. He's 27, just shot 40% from three. I mean, honestly, he's probably not any much better than that for Bazemore. And then you got a first round pick for Teague that you maybe picked a good guy. I mean, you can't say a draft pick is bad this early, but who knows? So has it been a great 2 weeks, 1 week of Hawks fandom? But yeah, I mean, what do you think?
Oh man. Well, we were talking about it earlier, but it hasn't been great. I'm there with you. Although, okay, so as you know, or people who listen to me know, I was cool with the draft because I was thinking, okay, worst case scenario, if they lose Horford, they at least have two young players that can fill two different positions to pair with Dennis going in, for the future. Um,
Real
I
to
was
interrupt, are they different positions or are they the same? I mean,
well,
I
okay,
know they're
so
not the same player because I guess Bembry's not really a shooter, but to me they're very similar. They're both 3-4 tweeners. Like neither one of them is a pure three or pure four. And I mean, I don't think that matters as much now, but to me they're
well,
kind of similar.
I was seeing Bembry as I kind of saw him as a 2-3, kind of like 2-3 kind of tweener, and
Okay.
Prince as maybe a 3-4 tweener. Though
Yeah.
we kind of coached Damari. Damari was a college four, coached him to a three. So I'm hoping, because Atlanta actually has success with wing players so far. Um, I like to believe he can do that. Man, don't
Yeah.
kill my optimism. That's what you're doing. Anyway,
Hey, I wanted to be optimistic. I did,
my
but
well, thing is, I
whatever.
was just saying they both could play on the court at the same time. Um,
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
what I'm
I
trying to get at. Um, anyway, so I was okay with the draft. I was expecting, Teague to be moved for more. It would take more to get the 12th for Teague, but oh boy, free agency.
Well,
Um,
wait, stay on the draft for a second. So this is one thing that bothered me, and we
go
mainly talk
ahead.
about free agency.
Yeah, go ahead.
Schroeder was their last good draft pick, and he was a project. And you're an organization that prides yourself on development. Why do we keep drafting these 22-year-old dudes? Adrian Payne, Bembry's a senior, Torian Prince is a senior. Why didn't we take one of the Euro guys if we're this awesome developmental crew and take? I mean, I like the Korkmaz guy because he's a shooter, and I mean, I don't know, he's a shooter, but he's 18 and he's a shooter. And so I wanted a development guy that you could just throw in Hawks University for 3 years and hopefully come out well, like they did with Schroeder. Instead, they took these seniors whose floor is admittedly high, but the ceiling is, to me, not that high. I mean, I don't know. I didn't love the draft. If you're gonna do one of the seniors, cool, that's great. And I guess that more goes along with the lines of I wanted to kind of to move into free agency. I would have let Horford walk. I probably would have let Bays walk, and I would have walked into next. I would have mini tanked this year. I mean, Shooter takes 25 times a game. That takes 25 shots a game. It would have been awful, and we would have been bad. But you mini tank, and you go into next offseason with what two players under contract, Shooter and one more, and a top 5 to 7 pick in the best draft in the last 5 years. I mean, it's had the mini tank has had a history of working. It's worked in the past. I mean, yeah, this is like the best possible example of all time, but like the Spurs mini tanked for 1 year to get Duncan, and it was an opportunity. It was a potential opportunity. The last time I was on, we both knew it wasn't going to happen because new owners don't do that. And Bud's, since he's the coach and the GM pretty much, that was never going to happen. But so that was just frustrating. And now then free agency happened, and I crawled under a table and cried.
Completely understandable, the crawling under the table and cried. I think I was in the corner in a fetal position. Only thing with I guess mini tanking that I would question is not really question, but it's just kind of like we would probably be losing our good players for nothing, unless I don't know. Were you looking to move Millsap after Horford? You let Horford walk.
I mean, I would have tried to keep Millsap just because I'm a big Millsap fan. I think Millsap is better than Horford.
Well, that's the. I was going to say that's the thing I kind of question. If we would have tanked, Millsap has a player option at the end of the year, which he's not getting paid a ton. So it's I don't know.
No, absolutely. He's at 17, 18 now, and I mean, you pay him after next season, and you probably still have room to bring in, a max guy. I mean, I don't know the cap numbers off the top of my head, but with only 2 players going, under contract going into next season, you would have had a lot of cap space as the cap goes up, potentially, re-sign Millsap. So, I mean, dream scenario, you re-signed Millsap, you have a top 7 pick in a great draft, and then you have room for, one max player and filler space. But it didn't happen, so we can kind of dive into free agency now. What do you think they were going to do after they signed Dwight? Did you think Al was gone immediately?
I didn't think they would immediately sign Kent Bazemore. That's what I thought there. I thought he was gone, but I was thinking, I don't know, logically I assume the team wanted to be good now and wanted to be good in the future. So I was assuming.
I would hope so.
So I was thinking the move would have been they would have moved Millsap because they would have owed him like Millsap probably would have demanded a 4 to 5
30
year
plus next year.
Yeah, on a 4 to 5 year contract, meaning he'd probably be 36, 37 when his contract ends. And to me, that doesn't seem logical, at least for that. So I was thinking they would want to move Millsap, and you could get something for him while his value is the absolute highest it has ever been in his life. I was assuming
his value takes a hit with the fact that he can opt out next year.
True, but if you want to, I don't know, if you want to go to a team that thinks they want to win now or think they have to make the playoffs to satisfy certain players, Utah is an example. We wouldn't have traded to him, but just, an example to satisfy Gordon Hayward to want to stick around.
Or you do the Goran Dragic trade where you trade for a guy and he's going to re-sign and you work it out before, even though it's quote unquote illegal.
Yeah, that too.
You can't tell me that doesn't happen. You know what I mean? So that's an opportunity too. What surprised me, all right, so you signed Dwight. They had to know, or they had to have a plan that they were going to try to keep Al too.
Yeah.
So then why did it take until today for Millsap trade rumors to happen? Why didn't that happen immediately after they signed Dwight? Why did it seemed like it happened for 90 minutes today and then it was over. The timing of everything was so weird and rushed. And, I honestly, this is based on me following Woj tweets. But once you sign Dwight and that money has been agreed upon, you should have immediately opened it to Paul. You should have immediately opened trade talks for Paul Millsap.
I think they did actually last night. They were opening trade talks with Paul Millsap for Paul Millsap because last night was the rumor with the Suns being a possible team.
What was that rumor? I didn't see that, but I heard about it. Was it for like a couple picks?
Yeah, they were talking about picks for the Suns. That was last night, I remember. Yeah. So they did kind of do that, but I don't know. It would have seemed like prior to signing Howard, maybe they would have. I don't know.
That's the answer to this free agency. It's just this is it. It didn't. I don't even know what their plan was because they had to have known when they signed Dwight that one of them one of Horford or Millsap was going to be gone. I mean, Bud said last year that Millsap was not a 3, and he may have played a few minutes at 3 in a couple of games, but he played more 5 than he played 3 last year. And so to me, and then even if they would have re-signed Al and traded Millsap, then you're worse at, to me, Dwight's a worse center than Horford, and Horford's a worse power forward than Millsap. So even that wasn't a great plan. And so, once they signed Dwight, there was no, in my opinion, there was no, good outcome out of that. And Dwight, and admit I used to be a Magic fan when I lived down in Florida, and I've hated him ever since the way he left Orlando, just kicking and screaming like a 12-year-old child. But I just don't see the value in Dwight. I guess it's 3 years, and so it's just not as bad as it could be. But if that's your glowing recommendation, the Hawks offseason, not as bad as it could be. That's not a great offseason.
Yeah. I got to get my thoughts together. It's very painful to see this. I don't know.
It really is. These moves seem like moves that the 2009 Hawks would have done. Hey, let's just stay the 7-8 seed for forever.
Well,
that's what this kind of move was.
2008, 2009. Yeah, probably.
Back when they were the 7-8 seed every year.
Okay. I thought for a second I was like, you talking about Sund, but I don't know. I think if it was Sund, he would have offered Bazemore and Horford. He would have offered Horford the max and offered Bazemore more money than what he's getting now. And I don't know. In their defense, at least Atlanta tried to shake things up because they thought maybe we can't, I don't know.
Maybe we
can't win. Yeah, maybe we can't win with the Horford.
I get that that's an argument, but if your argument is we've peaked with Horford and Millsap, and then your move is let's go sign a 30-year-old center that was really good 5 years ago, that's not let's really see what we can do. Let's see how good we can. That's, to me, that's a let's stay in the playoffs and hope the fans don't hate us move. And that drives me crazy. I guess it's not mediocrity when you're in the playoffs, but 44 wins, which what is a good season this year? 44 wins in the 7 seed or the 8 seed. What it's going to be? It's going to happen. Is we're going to be the 7 seed and the Celtics are going to be the 2 seed, and they're going to kick our butts in the playoffs, and everyone in Atlanta is going to cry together. That's what's going to happen. It's going to be horrible.
if we make the 7th seed. I don't know. I was thinking.
I agree with you. I mean,
I was thinking of the teams that are ahead of us, and I'm like, we might be fighting Charlotte. I don't know.
Orlando has a better roster than the Atlanta Hawks today.
Okay, Orlando has a confusing roster. Looking at it,
It's a lot more talent, though.
I don't know. They got Biyombo.
Is Biyombo that much worse than Dwight? I agree, Dwight's better. Is
Biyombo good?
Is Biyombo 75% of Dwight?
Is Biyombo good? Because he's only really had 3 good games, and suddenly, I don't know. Suddenly, people think he's good, and I'm kind of like, is he that good? And then you match him with, they got rid of Oladipo, so it's just kind of like you're matching him on the court. I'm just imagining he's going to be playing with Elfrid Payton, and I'm wondering.
I actually didn't love the Biyombo. I'm just giving you a hard time. I didn't love the Biyombo mainly because I wanted Serge to play center and Aaron Gordon to play the 4 and then play fast. I thought that was the best.
That would have been fun to watch, and would have been a fun way to play on lobs. It would just been nothing but lobs.
oh yeah. Well, and Vogel's a coach from 1995, and so he didn't want to do that. But to me, that would have been a fun. I mean, Elfrid Payton. This is a great Hawks podcast, by the way. Elfrid Payton, Fournier, Hazonia, Gordon, and Serge, and just all in all, what I think our point was, the Hawks are going to be scratching for the playoffs. And this is after taking away cap room to sign Dwight to 3 years and Bays to 4. It's just, I don't see any silver lining in it. And that's what's frustrating as a Hawks fan. Because there's no part of the last couple days that you can go, well, at least next year we have this, or, at least, maybe Dwight's going to come back to form. I mean, Dwight hasn't been in form in 5 years. I mean, he may score 16 a game next year instead of 13, but to expect him to get to 20 and 10, I think is just outlandish, and it's not going to happen. And so I think that's the most frustrating part of it all, is there's no silver lining. It's just all mediocrity and gray and sadness.
And sadness everywhere. Definitely. Hey, there was a time we wanted Dwight Howard to come home to Atlanta.
5 years ago when he was good.
Sadly. Okay, so let's be optimistic for a second with Dwight.
Okay.
Okay, I'm really trying right now.
Go fishing.
To the injury.
Okay, so. Okay, go ahead. I was going to say something, but you go ahead.
Oh no, you go ahead, because I gotta gather my thoughts.
Okay, so optimistic Dwight. He's revitalized a little bit playing at home. P3 Sports helps him get as healthy as he has been in the last couple of years. And Schroeder, and I mean, I think his big thing is he has to play, if he physically can, like he did in Orlando, which means you're not getting post-ups, ISOs in the post. You're running pick and rolls every possession down with Schroeder. That's your good luck. I mean, Millsap can space, because he can. I assume he'll hit more threes next year. Just he's awesome and improves every year. So he's revitalized. P3 can keep him healthy. Emery can keep him healthy, and him and Schroeder have a little pick and roll chemistry. There's your optimism. I mean,
I was also throw in. He'll have the best coach that he's had since Van Gundy.
Yes.
Millsap is the best power forward that he will have played with for a while. They actually moved the ball, and he had his most success, I guess, when it was 4 shooters and him on the floor, and they didn't really do that much, and they didn't really do that a ton in Houston.
That's great points. I agree. That's awesome. I think you're right.
What else? He only really missed I think he played in 70 games last year, so his
Yeah.
health is improving from year to year. And how you threw in with Emery, it could get better. Geez, what else? That's
He's
again,
in a
Millsap.
better situation because he's not with Harden. I mean,
Yeah,
it really it's a
and he's
simple kind of answer just because he's gonna get the ball more. I don't think he's gonna get a ton of post touches.
well. I was gonna say in addition to you did mention Millsap. I was gonna say, and he doesn't have to be the I guess super anchor on defense. Millsap might be the best defensive player, power forward he'll play next to, and the defense should be better. That's my optimism right there. I don't think he's as bad. I
the
don't think
rim defense should be better. He's not near what Horford is on the perimeter.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And what worries me, I mean, so this is one question that I really haven't seen anyone talk about. Is Korver still good? Do we know if he's still good?
That is
are we counting on a bounce back season from a 35-year-old guy that had elbow surgery a year ago?
Well, he won't be playing right off of elbow and did he have
I'm
knee
just
surgery?
saying.
No, I
He
agree.
had elbow
I
and
agree
knee
with
surgery
you.
before last season.
Well, yeah, no, I agree with you. No, well, here's and I'm really reaching here. I was going to say I'm really reaching here when I say this. So the other shooting guard on our roster, Tim Hardaway Jr. I was going to say. So everyone has this love for Bazemore because apparently a lot of people think he's good. I kind of question if he's anything more than a system player, but
couldn't agree more.
But at the same time, he did make improvement from his first year here because I thought he was just unplayable his first year. I thought he was horrible his first year. Last year, he was playable. So I will say Hardaway will have the same kind of time to adjust as Bazemore. So maybe we see something. No, but this is, geez. Optimism for Howard. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, so to get to the 7 seed, we need Tim Hardaway Jr. to have a good season and Korver to have a bounce back season at 35.
And for Millsap to continue to play like the best power forward in the East.
So here's one thing with Millsap. You try to trade him during the season, right? I mean, he's leaving after next year.
That right? Is okay. So now let me ask.
That's what I was thinking about after all this stuff came down today. And I mean, just, I think it was Woj tweeted, Hawks will be keeping Millsap now that all the deals are done. It's like, no, I think now you keep the doors open, but that's probably because I think we should tank and I want us to tank. But I mean, Millsap's not coming back next year, most likely. I don't know. It's a question that I was just thinking about.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of why I think we screwed ourselves for the present and the future. And we still don't have a backup point guard. We also have to – one of the big advantages the Hawks had these last few years was just their point guard play. That literally, there was no drop off in point guard. Well, now we're basically like every other team where, when the starting point guard goes to rest, we have to pray the backup doesn't do bad. Because you see that with every good team. You see it with the Cavs. Heck, you saw it with Boston. You see it in, pretty much anywhere.
So two things about a backup point guard. You know who would be really nice right now to have? Kay Felder, the backup guy that we could have drafted. Instead, we sold to Cleveland. That'd be really nice, first of all, because we didn't really – they sold the Pitt for $2.4 million but couldn't give Horford $6 million. That makes no sense. Second, backup point guard that's on the market right now that you could get super cheap is Ian Clark from Golden State, I think he'd be a good fit. He's a shooter, and I think we need those.
So it was my belief they sold that pick to essentially just pay for the rookie's contract, of what I understand. So I guess
Pay for what rookies? Like the 2 first-round dudes?
yeah, or at least one of them. It was something like that I read. It was like the amount that they saved on that was able to pay for like some one of their contracts or something like that. I'd have to go back and find it, but
I mean,
now if you want to say something, now had we not traded away a player who we had a team option for, but this is super hindsight. We had a team option for Shelvin Mack for next year, which I'm sure we would have picked up. But it's all super hindsight now that
well, and that's but
it's like here.
It's hindsight that shows a pattern in the Hawks front office that's very frustrating, and it's a lack of foresight from the Hawks. I mean, they knew before the draft they didn't have a backup point guard, and yet there's a guy there at 54. Was it 54 or 44? One of the two. I don't remember. It was 54. The guy there at 54 who was, I mean, yeah, a lot of people liked him in the draft, but I mean, you just look at him, he's a 5'9" guy that scored 25 a game in college and had 9 assists. And instead we sell it for $2.4 million. That went where? Where did that money go? I mean, there's just a lack of foresight. And I mean, with signing Dwight, there was a lack of foresight into Al and Paul and what you were going to do with that dynamic. And I mean, I saw people saying you could play all 3 of them together, but I don't think that was ever an option, ever. And so it's just a pattern of no foresight by Bud and Wilcox in the front office. And I mean, there's no foresight, not even just for this offseason, but now for 17 is you got more money locked up in Dwight. And it's very frustrating. And there just doesn't seem to be a consensus in what they're trying to do. Dwight, I don't understand how he fits in this system of ball movement and spacing that Atlanta has prided themselves on since Bud got there. I mean, literally none of this makes sense to me. And so that's why it's frustrating. Like, I kind of think 75% of the reason Dwight signed with us is because he thought our jerseys were cool. Like, that's the kind of thing that I think Dwight probably thinks is important, like how cool he would look in a video game, which worries me. So who knows what's going to happen, but 41-41 is going to be really fun to go to next season.
You make things sound so positive.
So do you when you just go.
Yeah, I know my extra sigh. Anyway,
it's the 2016-2017 motto, the Atlanta Hawks. Oh, geez.
It could be worse.
That's true.
It could be worse. I was looking at what team was I looking at where I was like, okay, I feel better about
Sacramento.
Okay, yeah. You could be a Sacramento fan.
You could be a Kings
fan. Could be a Sacramento fan. That's just where.
Yeah. Shout out all those poor people.
That or I was gonna say the Bucks maybe, but
no way. I'd take the Bucks roster over ours in a heartbeat.
Oh boy.
Oh. I mean, I'm a big fan of the Bucks just playing a bunch of 6'10" dudes and switching everything and just playing with a bunch of chaos. But I don't know. Who knows?
We'll see what happens with what's his name still their point guard? The
Giannis.
Well, I was gonna say the rookie of the year that the rookie of the
MCW.
MCW.
Carter Williams.
Yeah, that you've realized.
No, I think he's their backup point guard now. I mean, I'd take him as our backup point guard.
Well, yeah, because we don't have one, so that would help.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I think they're gonna have open tryouts soon, so I'm gonna try to go to that. I think.
Well, I can't really jump that high anymore, and I can't. You know what? If they can deal with someone who can't shoot like myself, I might try out. See what we
I
got.
think if you can chew gum and dribble a basketball right now, and it'll take like the minimum, that you might get signed.
Oh, I'll take an NBA minimum in a heartbeat.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
I'll take an NBA. Anyway,
A podcast will be great next year from inside the locker room.
oh yeah, it'd be great. Oh my goodness. Anyway, that I think that's enough time for now on us.
Absolutely. That's
the
enough
time,
pessimism. I hope you have other callers that call in with more optimism. I cover the pessimism basis for you.
all right. Okay, well that was fun then. Well, I will definitely.
Hey, man.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. I was just gonna say thanks for bringing me on. Let me vent. It's been a rough day. I'm gonna go back to drinking wine and looking for other teams to root for.
I think all the alcohol in my house is gone, so we'll have to see. We'll have to see what there is. I don't know. I jokingly said I was gonna eat some ice cream and watch Orange Is the New Black to someone.
This might be too soon, but Bud's not allowed to drink anymore, so I think he's making sure everyone else in Atlanta drinks for him with all these moves.
Hey.
On that note,
I was going to say you have to give some credit to Wes Wilcox, the actual GM of the team. Although, you know what? Okay, so I want to say it led me to a discussion that we talked about earlier. Do you think this is Bud's move? We talked about this earlier, but do you think this was Bud's move, or do you think this was like, something that was kind of brought in from the owners to get a name, and that being Dwight Howard?
I think it's Bud. I forget who I was reading, but I mean, I think I've seen it numerous places. And I mean, what is he, like the head of personnel or the VP of basketball operations? Or he has some other title other than head coach. And, while Wilcox is the GM, I think that it's Bud's ship. Wes Wilcox probably helps him steer it and does a lot of the cap stuff. I think it's Bud's ship and, Wrestler and the other owner group. New owner groups, they don't want to be bad. They don't want to tank, except for the rare occurrence up in Philly. There's, new owners want to, and I mean, this is part of it. They're trying to get money to get a new stadium. It's going to be hard to get the public's approval with that if you're tanking for a year and you win 22 games. And I think that plays into it a lot more than people are probably saying. And so, yeah, let's try to hit the 7 seed and win 44 games. Hopefully, Dwight has some cool dunks that people like. And, it's not this negative attitude in Atlanta while we're trying to drum up $200 million of public money, let me add, which that's a whole other podcast. $200 million of public money to do renovations on Phillips Arena, which, yeah. So I honestly think that plays a big part of it. And that's frustrating to me on a whole other level, just because sports stadiums for rich people makes me mad. But again, like I said, that's a whole other podcast. But yeah, I think it's Bud's ship. I think Wilcox helps him steer it. And I think Bud and Wrestler and the owner group probably work together to say, hey, let's not be bad. Just my opinion. I literally know nothing about the situation.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, we out of here. And, well, never mind. You're out of here. I'm still here.
Yes.
I'm unfortunately here to talk about everything. But anyway, thank you for coming.
Go talk to more optimistic people. Thank you very much for bringing me on and letting me vent. And I will talk to you again soon, my friend.
All right. Thanks, man.
All right, bud. See ya.